Radhe Radhe, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Vino Bihari Mandir, Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupan Guru Guruvar ki jai, Patit Pavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai, Radha Vino Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinam Sankirtana ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Go. Oh, it's loud out there. So, as usual, we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamala. All the background noise is marble cutting and stone cutting and
very good for the lungs.
Yes, and bricklaying. Hare Krishna. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaisnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagano Raghunatham Vikam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagano Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamshta Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudacham Adanya Madhurya Purashcha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shirasham Namami Trinandiram Bhakta Shiromanincha Shri Krishna Pada Girgitaika Vrinde Chaitanya Lilamrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namah Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragya Keshavaniti Namine Patimartya Charitraya Swashritanam Shapanine Jiva Dukhe Sadarpaya Shri Nama Premadayine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta सरस्वती नामिने श्रीवर्षभारती देवी दयिताय कृपाभये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दयिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाढ्य श्रीरूपारूढ भक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये निरकारिणे रूपानुगतिरुद्धापो सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भारसम्बोधे पदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगम्बरायते गौराविर्भावभूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिय वैष्णवः सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महामदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नम्ये गौरद्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुररूपन्तो मम मन्दं मते गति मत्सर्वस्वत्पदम्बोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदं श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्रीराधा श्रीरघुविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठानिधि सेव्यमानस्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भि वंशिवततस्थितः कर्षन्नेरुस्वनैर्गोतिनाथ श्रीयेस्तुतः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं मुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मस्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् हरे नाम हरे नामेव केवलं ततो नास्त्येव gatiranyata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman, page
359 in the songbook.
359. So Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. And if you don't have the songbook, very fortunate for all of us, Jiva Pavana Prabhu mercifully posts all the bhajans and kirtans so we can all join in together. What an extraordinary and lovely seva Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank
And
you.
Dandavat Pranam to all Vaishnavas. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. I just realized I didn't open my songbook.
359.
Thank you, Daddy. Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Shri Guru O Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. O Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. O Shri Guru Charana Kamala Bhajaman. Shri Guru Srika कृपा करो वैष्णवता को।
Just alerting everybody, Jiva Bhavana Prabhu is posting so much nectar. So if while singing the bhajans or while waiting for the next bhajan to start, you might want to scroll and read all of the beautiful Hari Katha. So many beautiful things from our Gurudev. Beautiful.
So this next bhajan we're going to sing is on page 40 of this songbook, Gauriya Gita Gucha, Kripa Karo Vaishnava Thakur. And yesterday, what we were speaking about, Srila Gurudev was talking about those persons who are very arrogant, who think they know better than everyone else. This bhajan is for them. In other words, it's for me. So, please bestow your mercy, O Vaishnava Thakur, by knowing my relationship with Krishna and constantly engaging in bhajan. My false ego will thus be dispelled. So false ego can be dispelled by engaging in the function of the proper or pure ego. By engaging in the service of Krishna, that is our real ego, then naturally, gradually, the false ego can be eliminated. If I develop the idea that I am a Vaishnava, then I will never become humble. My heart will become contaminated with the desire to receive honor from others, and I shall go to hell. If we are projecting that mood, that I'm superior to all others, I'm better than others, I know more than others, especially if it's in a mood of selfishness, if one is doing that in terms of service to Sri Guru, in a mood of loyalty to Gurudev, that when someone actually starts preaching in the name of Sri Guru and in the name of Sadhu and Shastra, something which is opposite, and you defend them in their conceptions, this is not outside of Vaishnava etiquette. This is proper. To be like that loyal dog that we were speaking about before. So, the idea that I am a Vaishnava, therefore I am superior to others, therefore I will lord it over others or repress them. And this also comes in terms of all of the different bodily conceptions. To think that I am something. Really, we are insignificant little jivas. Gurudev said, you should know that you are like a particle. You are nothing. You are like a particle, and that particle can become covered by Maya at any moment. So we should always have the humility. That is synonymous with Vaishnavism. Humility or simplicity. Otherwise, if we have this egoistic tendency, then we shall go to hell. I will know myself to be your servant, having given up the false conception of being Guru. So this is actually for everyone. It's not just those who take the role of giving initiation who act in the role of Guru. That's a very dangerous position because there they've got someone surrendering at their lotus feet. And if they're not really Guru, then they're not really lotus feet. Then they might have a problem because that person is giving them their mind, their body, their heart, their soul, their money, and everything. And it's so easy to eat up that pratishta. If one is not completely surrendered to Krishna and they accept that role as I am your savior, this can be very, very dangerous for that person who's accepting that role. So that is one level, but then there's the other level, the level of the rank and file devotees, who also like to lord it over everyone else, promote their superiority, seniority, guruship, and this conception that I am better than others, that I will instruct you, I will teach you. This is a false conception. A real guru does not have this mood. A real guru is the perfect disciple. They always have the mood of the deepest humility toward their Gurudev and toward Mahaprabhu and toward Radha and Krishna. With sincerity, I shall always honor your remnants. So he's speaking to the Vaishnavas. The water that has washed your feet and the dust of your feet. When we were in Paderborn, Germany with our Srila Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, I've told this before, but I like to remember it as often as possible. I was kind of spacing out during class, as I would sometimes. I was very tired. And as I was dozing and he was speaking, this was my unfortunate condition, he said something that spoke directly to my heart. If you have no attraction to bhakti, if you've lost interest, there is something which can change that and reverse it. And I sat up, I'm like, okay, he's talking to me, this is for me. And so I was sitting there ready to receive what he was going to tell me. And he said, Bhakta pada dhuli ar bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesh etin mahabal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said 3 substances are extremely powerful. Gurudev said they can reverse your causeless unwillingness to serve Krishna. Causeless unwillingness. So what is that? The dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotees of Krishna. Bhakta pada dhuli. Ar bhakta pada jal. The water which has washed the lotus feet of the pure devotees of Krishna. And bhakta bhukta avashesh. The remnants of their foodstuff. 18 mahabal. These 3 are extremely powerful substances. So, just to know that, if I've lost my interest, somehow or other, I should acquire that substance. Wait a second, we all have it. Tilak, it's the foot dust of the gopis. Even Krishna wants it. That's why it came from Dwarka, because Krishna brought it there so that he could bathe in that foot dust. And what's left of that, all of us, I was just going to say Gaudiya Vaishnavas, but now I'm going to say aspiring Vaishnavas. We'll take that on our heads and pray that may one day I might become devoted servant of Radha and Krishna. If I consider myself to be superior to all and give my remnants and so forth to others, the weight of my false pride will become very heavy. Thus always remaining in the mood of your disciple, I will not accept worship from others. Today I was discussing with Sudevi about this, how it seems that some persons very readily accept the position of being the savior, guru. Very easily. It's just like, okay, this is the family business, we will be set for the rest of our life if we just jump onto it. Some people accept it on the order of Gurudev, and some people just, okay, I'll be guru now. It's good. I'll make sure I'll find a way to accept sannyas and then I will become a guru. And it seems that there are certain kinds of persons who easily take that role. But it's quite a surprising thing. And very easily accepting disciples and accepting the service, the money, the surrender. And then it becomes quite dangerous, because if one readily accepts and enjoys the offering of their disciples, this is like the result of nam aparad. So the increase of kanaka, wealth, comes. Increase of pratishta, name, fame, position, and all of that comes. Power. And along with that comes the opportunity for sense gratification. And if one is not holding very tightly to the lotus feet of their Gurudev, if one is acting independently, taking this role of I am Guru, then very easily Maya, who is so powerful, so wonderful and so amazing, Krishna's own divine deluding energy, Daivihesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durateya, can so easily bewilder someone, especially when they are in that position. And it is said that due to the sins of those disciples, that guru who is not really on the level, who has not permanently bound themselves to the lotus feet of Krishna, they will fall down. When the disciples fall down, those disciples will drag them from their slightly higher position to hell with them. So Bhaktivedanta Thakur and all of our Shastras recommend that if someone is going to accept that role, if they are not permanently bound to the lotus feet of Krishna, then they should be very, very careful who they accept as their disciple and how many they accept.
Jiva Bhavana Prabhu is just...
Going for it?
Wow.
Okay.
I'm sitting here reading it. It's amazing. Take advantage.
Let me just finish reading the translation. So the weight of my false pride will become very heavy. We've heard this saying in English. The taller, the faller. Means as high as you go, if you're not permanently bound to Krishna, if you're not permanently bound to the lotus feet of your Gurudev, when you fall, it makes a bigger mess. So be careful. Thus, always remaining in the mood of your disciple, I will not accept worship from others. If I renounce the desire for honor for myself, and instead offer respect to others, you will give me the qualification to perform kirtan. This is almost like a reference to Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya. Bhaktivedanta Thakur has written this bhajan and that one. Gurudev Kripa Bindudiya koro e dase trinapeka atihina. Right? Sakala sahane baladiya koro nijamane sprihahina. Here he's saying, please give me the power to give honor to others and for myself to become humble. And then here also it's a reference to Trinarapi Sunichena. Then I will have the qualification to perform kirtan. So this humility is necessary. And without duplicity, bad one, duplicity. We can all look at our own hearts, feel our own pulses, feel the duplicity pulsing inside. If we have it within us, then we can pray for help if we have that. Without duplicity, then I shall cry and roll on the ground at your lotus feet. Sounds like they're having a brick throwing contest on the roof above us. Okay, so
Jiva Bhavana is saying these quotes should not interfere with listening to Srila Prabhu. They're really good quotes. They're actually all supporting, actually.
The purpose of my speaking is just so that you can read those quotes. My function is only to somehow or other inspire anyone to read and to become more involved in hearing from the pure devotees. I'm doing my seva, but really I'm not on that level. So if
also
somehow...
It's so important that as you're speaking, when Jiva Bhavana Prabhu is adding all of these quotes, it's actually supporting and showing that you're in line, that you're not speaking from your mind, but that Guru and Vaishnavas have spoken these things, and all of them are confirmations. We talk quite often about that, Jiva Bhavana Prabhu, how nice it is that you're always posting these, and it's confirming and reconfirming. It's very, very important. So it should go together.
It is essential that we don't give the impression that we're just speaking from here. Because the mind, of course we know, is obstinate. It tends to do this and that and this and that. So those who are Vaishnavas or aspiring Vaishnavas should reference Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Because on my own, what knowledge do I have? What strength do I have? Right? Jogyata vichare kichu nahi pai. I don't have all of that capacity on my own to calculate what is beyond the capacity of the material mind and intelligence and ego. It is transcendental. So I'm dependent upon transcendental subject matter descending, and my function is only, our function is only how to represent that as honestly and as purely as we can, with as much as it is as we can muster to represent it.
And there are so many senior Vaishnavas present, watching and listening and encouraging us. So when we see that, Jiva Bhavana Prabhu, that you're adding these things, it's not only confirmation, but it's so encouraging for us. Please know that.
I was just thinking that just before, that so many of these senior Vaishnavas and Prabhupada disciples, those who are senior to us so much in age, in practice of bhakti, in knowledge of Shastra, in when they came to Krishna consciousness and how much they have served and surrendered, are coming to these classes, and I see you all as my parents who are giving encouragement. And when I do, I don't have it right in front of me, but when I do see it, it's quite humbling to see, but I feel that you're kind of saying, walk, walk, and I'm kind of trying to walk and hobble forward, and I feel so much comfort knowing that you're giving me your blessings and your shelter and your encouragement, and I pray that you always continue to do so.
And chastisement if you need it.
Blessings, shelter, and encouragement means chastisement as well. And I do require it from time to time, so don't hesitate. So page 40, Kripa Karo Vaishnava Thakur. Kripa Karo Vaishnava Thakur. থাকিয়া সর্বদা হইব পূজা Nitai Gunamani Amar Nitai Gunamani. Only?
Sure. Page 61, Nitai Gunamani. Krishna
जल्दी गौरांग नहीं तो अभी कहीं हुई तो
Page 68.
68 जदि गौरांग नहितो तबे की हइतो केमने भरितो रे राधारो pundataka punjakutira.
Page 218.
If you don't have a book, you just go to the latest post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu, and there you will find the bhajan with its explanations, translations, and commentaries. Yeah. Do you want to go up there? No. Okay. Shri Radhe Braja Jana Mana Sukhakari Radhe Shyam Shyama Shyam. Page 300 and 66, 366, Braja Jana Mana, Braja Jana Mana. Shama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jai Gurudev, Gurudev, Jai Is this still working?
Yeah.
So Thakurji has new Shringar today, so before you leave, make sure you wait to have their close-up darshan. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaaya Tadbhaktaaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnanam Janashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayaniti Namine Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Giring Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, Astottara Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupanuga, Gauriya, Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, dear Vaishnavas, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So today I was thinking about something quite interesting. I was thinking about the nature of the mind to become splayed out. It's so easy for the mind to become completely distracted. It's our conditioned nature in this material world to always be seeking for our own sense gratification. Therefore, the mind sends its messengers out in all directions. What will be pleasing to this mind? What will be pleasing to this intelligence? What will be pleasing to these senses? What will satisfy me, this false ego? When we usually say me, we don't mean the soul. We mean that person, that body that we see in the mirror. That's me. This face, these hands, this nose, this sense of taste, all of these ideas that make me me, and my relationships in this world. It's the false ego. It's not the true thing. It's a temporary thing. So the mind has this nature and tendency, so much so that when we hear transcendental truth, we also like to reject it because it does not always groove with our sense of self, our sense of ego. That's the nature of transcendental truth. It should conflict with our false ego because it conflicts with falsity. Reality and truthfulness always shines a light at falsity, meaning makes it disappear, because falsity is Maya, or the shadow. So it would conflict, and we won't even like to hear it. Why? Because it shouldn't be that way. Why should we be restricted by our Gurudev, by the Vaishnavas, by Shastra, by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself? Why should we be restricted from enjoying our senses, and especially the subtle senses, the sense of the mind and the intelligence, to want to be the knower of everything? Why should I be restricted? But Mahaprabhu says, if you want to have ekantik bhav, a one-pointed mood toward Krishna, then don't read too many books, don't read too many literatures. Don't absorb your mind in everything else. Absorb your mind always in Krishna. Always think of Krishna and never forget him. Or always remember Krishna, never forget him. This conflicts with our sense of self-dignity. Why should I listen to someone telling me that I shouldn't dive into all kinds of information? Because all of that information is responsible for binding us here in this world. The same process which frees us or liberates us from this world, Shravanam, Harikatha, that process which actually will free us from this material attachment and the material entanglements. That same process, when applied to the mundane, will fully bind us in the material entanglements. So, through the medium of our eyes, through the medium of our ears, we are doing shravanam, we're receiving, we are drinking, we are absorbing information. And the more information we absorb, that is what we will think about. Naturally. So as we're thinking, as we're absorbing information, we will dream about it, we will see it, we will think about it, it will affect our conversations, it will affect our consciousness, it will affect our surroundings, it will affect our cooking, and every other moment of the day. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, don't absorb yourself in all of these other subjects. Try to keep your mind focused on the real subject, which is Krishna. Why does this subject keep coming up again and again and again? For us, conditioned souls, it is most essential. Because association is everything. Sadhu sanga sarva shastri koi, lavamatra sadhu sanga sarva siddhi hoy. According to all revealed scriptures, sarva shastre koi, means all shastras are telling that 3 times it is said sadhu sanga. Sadhu sanga, sarva shastre koi, lavamatra sadhu sanga. Associating with pure devotees, or sadhus. Our Gurudev explained, and I heard this quite early on from when I came to Srila Gurudev. Sadhu means one who is in touch with the truth, or sat, 24 hours a day. That is sadhu. So sadhu sangha means to absorb oneself in the conceptions, the moods, in the association of those who are always absorbed in thinking about Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. That is sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha doesn't mean to get together with a bunch of like-minded devotees and do nonsense activities because their minds are also like that. It means to associate with those who are always absorbed in remembering and thinking about Krishna. And that is opposite from asat sangha. Asat means those who are absorbing their minds in everything not to do with Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes at any time of the day. When we associate with that, then it will take us and bring us in that direction. So it's a very simple thing. What we associate with, what conceptions we associate with, who we associate with, will, in essence, make our hearts, our minds, our intelligence, and our consciousness into that particular association. If we associate with those who are always lusty, then this will awaken more lust in our heart. If we associate with those who are always greedy, then this will awaken greed in our heart. If we associate with those who are always angry, this will awaken anger in our hearts. If we associate with those who are always sweet and kind and loving, this will awaken that in our hearts. And if we associate with those who are always devoted to Krishna, it will awaken that in our hearts. So Srila Gurudev said, association is everything. The son of Varahadev, Vishnu avatar Varahadev, and Bhumi Devi, due to bad association, the son of Varaha and Bhumi, Mother Earth, he became a demon known as the demon of hell. Narak Asur. Narak means hell and Asur means demon. Hellish demon. Due to bad association. And so many who were of demonic mindsets, due to favorable or devotional association, also became devoted. So we can look at ourselves and see how much of my energy, how much of my time in the day, am I giving to Gramya Katha, the conceptions, the discussions of worldly things, versus how much am I giving to Krishna Katha, Sadhu Katha, glorification of Krishna, glorification of his devotees, glorification of bhakti, the process of love and devotion for the Lord. Then we can see where we're at to some extent. We have to also take into consideration all of the momentum we have established in our millions and trillions of material lives previously. In other words, we have deep, deep, strong impressions of this material world. Very, very strong. And any little thing can easily pull our mind back into those things. Any one mundane conception can fully pull our mind back into all of that. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even for someone who's very controlled, even one of the senses which is left unchecked can fully drag their mind again into illusion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our Gurudev, all of our Guru Varga, our Shastras, all Vaishnavas are again and again and again desperately trying to instruct us and remind us that we should always keep our minds, our consciousness, our everything absorbed in Krishna and Krishna Seva, so that we can make this human form of life perfect, that we can actually properly utilize the rare and valuable opportunity that this human life affords us to develop Krishna Bhakti, to develop Krishna Prem. It can actually help us to attain our highest possible destination. So we have a choice at every moment. That's the freedom that the jiva has. I have a choice to absorb my mind in the material energy or to absorb my mind in the spiritual energy. It's not just that moment that the mustard seeds dropped over the edge of a sword. This is an example given to as to why the jivas have come here versus not come here. And so the example that was given by our Guru Varga in Shastra is like dropping mustard seeds over the edge of a blade. Some will go one way, some will go the other way. It's kind of like chance. But actually, we have that opportunity at every moment. And it's not that we need to be foolish about what's going on in the material world. But the sign or the proof of our foolishness is that we continue to only absorb ourselves, or mainly absorb ourselves, in all of the things of this material world when we have so much knowledge about the transcendental side. We have received in our life Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jaya Dharma, Upadesh Amritam, Manashiksha, Sri Shikshashtakam, so many beautiful transcendental literatures, and the mercy of the pure devotees who can manifest those literatures in our hearts. On top of that, we have received sadhu sangha, association with those pure devotees, who have given us nam kirtan. They have given us Krishna in the form of his names. They have given us all of the transcendental literatures through their Harikatha, Bhagavat Shraman. They've given us service to Thakurji. They've given us residence and even relationship with the Dham. We've received so much transcendental mercy. So we have really such an amazing opportunity. So many might even see or hear something, but they don't receive all of that. But in our lives, most of us have come close, so close, to those transcendental realities, and they have showered their mercy. They have filled us with that nectarian Harikatha. They have given us Krishna Nam. So we have the opportunity to avail ourselves of so much information, spiritual and material. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Gramya Katha na shunive. He tells Raghunath Das Goswami, don't hear the Katha of this world. It will take the mind away from Krishna. Don't read too many different kinds of opinions and different kinds of books. This will also weaken your resolve on the path of bhakti. But then the devotees will say, wait a second, isn't it said that one should not be afraid to discuss varying opinions of Shastra? That's the point. That is scripture. That is transcendental literature, and we should discuss that under the guidance of pure Vaishnavas. So wait a second, I have this understanding. Then the question should come, and maybe even some debate can come, and then it can be clarified. This is all in relation to Shastra or Siddhanta, Tattva Siddhanta. What is manifesting from that source of truth? It is not to discuss and debate over all the mundane things of this world, but to discuss and bathe our minds in subject matters related to Krishna and Krishna Bhakti. So in this case, last night I received a very beautiful message from one devotee, and it was shared out today by another devotee, and I wanted to read it to you. Now we noticed a very interesting trend, and you might not believe it. If Sudevi or myself posts a picture of us, let's say it's our anniversary, and it's a picture from 25 years ago, and we're like, instantaneously, within 2-3 hours, we will get so many hearts and loves and likes, and 500 or 600. And if we post something very strong but true from Srila Prabhupada, maybe after 5 or 6 days, it might get 50 mentions. Maybe, if we're lucky. We've noticed this trend. That, of course, because people are attracted to, and we have an attachment to the mundane, that is what makes our hearts feel happy. But when the kata of the pure devotees, and especially their pictures, are posted, people kind of, I don't know if I want to relate to that. So here's one that a lot of people don't like to relate to. So I'm going to share it with you all. This was shared to us yesterday. So Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, after I read this, I was thinking, that's why I have this conviction, because since my birth, it was impressed upon me again and again by Srila Prabhupada, by my teachers, by the Shastra, by all of our teachings, by every pure devotee that I've met, and by all of the Vaishnavas. In the context of Krishna consciousness, this idea was impressed so strongly. Don't indulge in gramya katha. Gramya means village talk, ordinary, mundane talk. Therefore, we always advise, don't read newspaper. Don't read any other book, because it is full of gramya katha. So to avoid it as far as possible. There is no need. What is the news of a gramya katha newspaper? Now, we don't have newspapers so much anymore. We have, what do they call it? The Daily Mail. And all of the other news, Yahoo News, Google News, this news, that news, it's coming to us, and they're feeding it to us. According to your preferences, some algorithm is making it possible that one thing after another that you might have a slight interest is being impressed upon you. Completely pulling you according to your interest, and they've got you mapped out. So, what is the news of a Gramya Katha newspaper or computer? The same thing repeated. Here there is flood. Where there is a train disaster. Here there is an accident. And political. One politician is giving a speech. Another politician is giving a speech. Sounds like today's world, doesn't it? These are the Gramya things. Means mundane talk. These are the Gramya things. So we should save ourselves. These externally very attractive news, we should avoid it completely. We shall simply talk of Krishna. That is the safest method. We shall simply talk Krishna Katha. My father used to tell me quite often that back in the day, now I know he always spoke about back in the day, but there was a reason he was remembering it, reminiscing about it, and missing it. If anyone would say anything like, whoa, man, or anything, devotees would remind each other, does that help you to remember Krishna? He said, right from the very thing, first thing in the morning, after Mangalarti, then Japa, then Bhagavatam class. Then some devotees would go out and book distribution after Prasadam. Most would. So many would do their seva, but any free time, there would be another class. There would be like 6 different readings every day. So there was Bhagavatam, I think in the evening was Krishna book, before going to bed, along with hot milk. Then there was, before that, there was Bhagavad Gita in the evening. There was Nectar of Devotion, maybe Sri Ishopanishad. Many of you may remember how it was like that. Instead of filling up on the Gramya Katha of this world, the devotees at that time were filling up on Krishna Katha. And how blissful, how happy, how excited were all of those devotees. I was there as a little kid witnessing that energy and enthusiasm. It was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. I have not seen it since, not like that. Where everyone was dedicating every minute to serving Sri Sri Guru Gauranga and Radha and Krishna, absorbing their minds in Krishna Katha. What a beautiful and magical time it was. Yes. Good morning was Jai Srila Prabhupada. Good night was Jai Srila Prabhupada. So here Srila Prabhupada is saying, so we should save ourselves. That is the safest method. We shall simply talk Krishna Katha. And Krishna Katha means what Krishna has said. That is Krishna Katha. Or what is spoken about Krishna. So Bhagavad Gita means Krishna Katha, what Krishna has said. And Srimad Bhagavatam is also Krishna Katha because everything there is said about Krishna. We should not indulge in Gramya Katha. That will mislead us. And if we do not indulge in Gramya Katha, but if we make advancement on Krishna Katha, then we are always situated in the transcendental position. We are no more affected by the modes of material nature. So by absorbing one's minds in the modes of material nature, in the Gramya of this world, one will be situated on that platform, on the chariot of the mind, Manorathena. And when one is absorbing their mind always in Krishna, then they will be situated in the transcendental position. Then he quotes Bhagavad Gita 14:26. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. For us, that would be Parabrahma Shri Krishna. So we should stick to this principle. Then we shall be saved. Otherwise, either I become man or woman. In other words, according to my concentration, I will take birth. What does Krishna say? Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajantyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sadat bhava bhavitaha. I will become what my consciousness is absorbed in, for sure and for certain. We are all condemned because we are implicated with Gramya Katha. So Gramya Katha should be avoided. The temple is especially meant for Krishna Katha. Here there is no other business than Krishna. And Prabhupada spoke this on September 1st, 1975, here in Sri Vrindavan Dham. So the temple is not only that place over there where the deities are and where devotees gather to do kirtan and hear Bhagavatam class. The temple, yes, Mama Mana Mandire. The temple should be in the mind, the temple of the heart. That's why we decorate this body. The body becomes a temple. That Radha and Krishna can sit here. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, the temple is specially meant for Krishna Katha. Gramya Katha should be avoided. In the same way that we don't speak about mundane subject matters in front of Thakurji. If this body belongs to Gurudev and is meant for the service of Guru, Gauranga, Radha and Krishna, then how can we use it for any other purpose other than what they have instructed? then it becomes not our right. And it sounds to the material mindset like, oh my God, that sounds really, really not good, that you can't think for yourself. It's not to not think for oneself. It's to understand what is important to think about.
And at the very least, not to engage others in it.
And in the very least, not to engage others in that. And we should always try to remind each other about Krishna, to remember Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. Trust me, if we even have the slightest belief in reincarnation, we have chewed on all of this nonsense trillions of times before. We've already done it. And that's what has kept us bound in this samsara. All of that gramyakatha, all of that asat sangha has kept us bound in the material world of birth, disease, old age, and death. And the recipe to get out? Harikatha. Vidyate hridaya grantishchidyante sarvasangsha kshiyante chasya karmani drishta ivatmanishvare. The sword of transcendental knowledge cuts at all of those knots, the misgivings in the heart, which are keeping us bound in this world. That sword of transcendental knowledge, that is Harikatha, that frees us from being bound in this material world. Shrinmatam swakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantaksto hyabadrani vidhunoti suhitsatam nashta praishva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Nityam bhagavata sevaya means always, nityam, continuously, forever, always hearing about Krishna and the relationship of Krishna with his pure devotees, all the subject matters which are related to Krishna. And especially for devotees, those who are devoted to Krishna, then they will always want to absorb their mind. Kalam nayat, without cessation, apratihata, without cessation, 24 hours a day, under the guidance of the pure Rasik Bhavuk Brajabasi, whose heart is overflowing with love and affection for Krishna. In the mood of the Brajabasis, the real eternal associates of Krishna, they will constantly absorb all of their senses, not just their mind, every sense, in Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. When Srila Gurudev would give Harikatha, so often he would say, leave everything else behind. Stop doing whatever else you're doing. Even those things you might think that are important, like making garlands or whatever. Back in the day, he wouldn't even speak if someone was taking notes. He would stop and wait until you were focused, and then he would speak again. He didn't want us to be recording it on tape recorders, because then we could be complacent. Oh, I'm lazy, I can fall asleep, I'll listen later. He used to take those tape recorders and let them have a clear view of the wall. Chuck them. Boom. Take it here, inside your heart. So he would say, give me all of your senses. Give me all of your senses. Full focus, and I will give you Krishna. So for those who are aspiring devotees or who are devotees, this is symptomatic of real devotion, is the exclusivity of that devotion. To the degree that one is exclusive, to that degree you can say they are a devotee, right? Devoted. Devotee means who is devoted. So most of us will look at ourselves and think, oh my God, I'm so far away from being a real devotee. But nothing will satisfy us, the self, the soul, other than awakening that devotion. So we don't really have much other choice. If we want to continue to suffer in this material world, then we can put off awakening devotion. But if we want to flow with the nature of our soul, Savai Pungsang Paro Dharmo, the supreme occupation for all of humanity, Yato Bhakti Radhoksaje, is to develop love and affection for Krishna, who's beyond the realm of the material senses, the material mind, intelligence, ego, and all of this. Ahaitaki, apratihata. And it should be constant, without cessation, without any material cause. It should only have that spiritual cause. What is the spiritual cause? I want to love and serve Krishna. And how can that be activated, that mood? Only in the association of pure devotees. If we really want to satisfy the soul, the supreme soul, and that's a natural side effect, this soul will also find its satisfaction and perfection. So it's only a choice of a matter of time. How much longer am I going to maintain binding myself in this world by associating my senses, the ears, the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the touch, the mind, the intelligence, and the ego with the material energy? We have practical experience of the result of that. That is suffering. That is the nature of this material world. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam abrahma bhumanaloka puna avartinorjuna. All are places of misery in this material world. It's not constant. There's chapalasuka, flickering happiness. It comes from time to time. That little bit of flickering happiness is what allows us to keep choosing to be bound in this repetition of birth and death. Or we can turn toward Krishna. And only by that will we actually truly become happy forever. And that is not necessarily our purpose, but we're all seeking that naturally, because the soul is made of that. It is eternally existent. It is made of bhav, relationship. Who is my Lord? Who am I, and what is the nature of our love and affection? How will I serve? And what kind of reciprocation will be there? And ananda, bliss, happiness, love, affection. That is what is the soul is composed of. All of this other stuff, asat, achit, nirananda. Asat means what is not true. Achit means lacking in real knowledge, and or another word for that would be foolishness, stupidity, or ignorance. And nirananda means suffering, without bliss, without happiness. That is the nature of the material world. So we have that choice. Krishna has allowed us to have that choice forever. And He's also eager for us to turn that choice toward what will be favorable for us. As any parent is looking at their child, hoping that their child will make the right choice. But you can't force them after a certain age, and then when they do, oh, no, don't do that, don't. Right? You're watching, you're like, no. I didn't mean that. And you want to scream and say, but what can you do? So Krishna is the supreme Father of all living entities. He says, Aham bija pradapita, I am the seed-giving Father of everything in existence. So He also has this mood toward us. More than millions and millions of mothers. So much compassion. He's like an ocean of mercy and compassion. And He's given us our freedom, but He is also eager for us to turn and look toward Him. To do that thing which will actually make us happy forever. And if we simply just do that, then that will be service to Krishna. Like Gurudev said, please be merciful to me and make me happy. How? Become happy. Chant your Harinam. It's for us. It makes Him happy, and He feels that it's mercy to Him that we ourselves become happy. So we can serve Gurudev, we can serve the Vaisnavas, we can serve our Guru Varga, we can serve Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Radha and Krishna by becoming happy ourselves. And that means by coming into our nature. What is our nature? Jiver Swarupa Hoy, Krishner Nityadas. I am an eternal servant of Krishna. So how to awaken that internal, inherent, natural, intrinsic mood? That is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. How to become always conscious of Krishna in everything, in every moment, no matter what. I know some devotees, from the moment they wake up, boom, right into obeisances, chanting the pranam mantra to their Guru Maharaj. And then Hare Krishna, Hare, even when they're sleeping, they're just chanting. into their sleep, and then they wake up in the middle of the night, and then Hare Krishna, Hare, continuing. How to always absorb the mind in remembering Krishna's names, forms, qualities, and pastimes. Nam, Rup, Guna, and Lila. This will make us happy forever. Everything else will just keep us bound in the broken record cycle of samsara. This repetition. Doing the same thing we have done forever, since forever, in this material world. So the sign of intelligence, Srimad Bhagavatam says, Krishna Varnam, Tusha Krishnam, Sangopangashtra Parshadam, Yagyai Sankirtana Praya, Yajantihi Sumedhasa. Yajantihi Sumedhasa. Those persons who are actually intelligent, Sumedhasa, they will take to that process, which is the most magnanimous, most beneficent, I hope that's the right word, most beautiful process, which grants the highest result with the least amount of endeavor. What is that? Sankirtan Yagya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna himself took to the same process in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, taking to chanting the holy names of Krishna to experience what it is like to love Krishna from the perspective of a devotee. And what he is experiencing is so much nectar, he wants to share it with the whole world. Prem ras niryash korite ashvadan, ragamarga bhakti loke korite pracharan. What he is utilizing and what he is experiencing, he also wants to awaken that in us. So the holy name, especially Mahamantra, is known as Prem Atma. It has the special capacity of awakening the inherent prem, or divine transcendental love for Krishna that is present within the soul. So we have received this chance and this opportunity in this particular Kali Yuga. Not in every Kali Yuga. Once in a day of Brahma. That means 1,000 Mahayuga cycles, day and night. So, not every Kali Yuga, 1,000. Or is it 2,000? I can't even think about it right now. It's a long time. 8,640,000,000 years since Krishna appeared in this world and since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. Right after Krishna. 8,640,000,000 years. You couldn't count that much money in one lifetime if you had it. If you were trying to count it dollar by dollar, you couldn't. Imagine that in terms of years. Samarpayitum. How long of a time was that? And we have received the most valuable opportunity and treasure at this time, right now, and it has literally been thrown on our laps and poured over us, and we have been bathed in it. Take it, it's yours. It's yours, you can have it now. Nityananda Prabhu is begging, please give me this one thing. One, Prabhura Agyai Bhai, Magi e Bhiksha. Bhiksha means donation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is asking, but what is that donation? It's nothing for himself. He is telling us for ourselves. Bolo Krishna, chant the names of Krishna. Bhajo Krishna, serve Krishna. Koro Krishna Shiksha, follow the instructions of Krishna. If you do this with your life, if you enter into Krishna Sangsar, instead of Maya Sangsar, Krishnera Sangsar Koro, enter into that Sangsar. Give up all of your unfavorable activities. Take shelter of Krishna's names. And also be merciful to other jivas by giving them that opportunity to also take shelter of the names of Krishna. This is the donation that they're asking for our own benefit. Like our Srila Gurudev said when he went to Australia, I think it was 1997, 98. We were in Murwillumbah. And there he said, I was very happily doing sadhan bhajan in Vrindavan Dham. I have come here for you, to help you. I don't need you to help me. I was doing my sadhan bhajan very happily, but I've come here for your benefit to help you. And then he had tears in his eyes and he looked at us. Please take my time, take my life seriously. Even if you capture just a smell, like incense from the other room, just a smell of what I'm trying to give you, your life will be successful. And he was begging us, please, don't waste my time, take it seriously. And the way he was pleading was so desperate. I'm coming here to give you the best thing, the greatest treasure, but please don't waste my energy and my time. So this is for all of us. We have received that great valuable mercy, that great valuable treasure from Sri Guru and Vaishnavas. And we don't know how much time we have. We don't know how much anything. It doesn't matter what disease it is. Adhyatmik, adhibautik, adhidaivik, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. This material world is the way it is for a reason. And so we have whatever time we have left. And because we don't know whatever time we have left, then Sudevi is just sharing. Srila Gurudeva Maharaj said, don't try to make this place a perfect world. Krishna didn't make a mistake. He made it the way it is for a reason. To teach us that this is not our place. This is not my place of enjoyment. My place is really at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, serving them in their transcendental pastimes. Radha Krishna Pranamor Jugala Kishor Jivane Maharane Gati Aranahimor. Radha Krishna Pranamor, they are our life and soul. Jivane Maharane Gati. In life or death, there's no other goal, no other destination, no other hope. Constantly absorbing one's mind in that direction. This is the benefit that we have in this particular time, right now. What Krishna came to show. Look at my beautiful pastimes. You should all be attracted to join my beautiful pastimes. And then he followed up in the form of Mahaprabhu. Look, I'm showing you how to enter into Krishna's pastimes. And then just in case some people didn't get it, let me leave so many transcendental personalities. Vrindavan Dham is here, Jamuna Maharani is here, Giriraj Maharaj is there, Harinam is here, Srimad Bhagavatam is here. Oh, that's not enough. Let me keep sending so many pure devotees, one after another. Gurudev said, why do I keep coming again and again? He would say, to remember you, to chant your Harinam. To remind you to chant your Harinam. To chant your Diksha mantras. To take advantage of the most amazing, valuable assets that we have been given now. We don't know if we'll receive them later. We don't know what we received before, but we do know what has come into our life now. And it would be a very, very great shame to waste it uselessly. Hari Hari Vipale Janama Goyana Manushya Janamapaya Radha Krishna Navajiya Janiya Shunya Bishakainam. I have not worshipped Radha and Krishna, being given this very valuable, rare human form of life. Bifal. What have I done with it? It has become fruitless. Why? Because even after understanding and receiving so much, rather than taking that into my life, Janiya Shunya Bishakainu, I have knowingly and continue to willingly drink the poison of this material world. That comes in the form of a Gramya Katha. So Mahaprabhu says, Gramya Katha na Shunibe. Don't drink it through your ears. Don't take that through your eyes. We should follow the example of Maharaj Ambarish. Savaimana Krishna Padar Vindayor. Always absorbing the mind in the lotus feet of Krishna. utilizing all of one's senses in the service of Krishna, the ears for hearing Harikatha, the mouth for speaking, for doing the kirtan of what we have heard, sharing what we have heard, and the tongue, the mouth, for serving Mahaprasad, the hands for cleaning the temple, touching the bodies, the feet of the pure devotees, serving the deity form of the Lord, the feet, the legs for doing parikrama, sense of smell for what? Smelling the flowers which have been offered to the Lord, or the incense. Then every time you smell incense, you should think, my Gurudev, he came to give me this amazing thing. And even if I receive this much, my life will be successful. When that smell, the fragrance of incense comes, it should inspire in the heart, yes, I will try to follow my Gurudev. So all of one's senses in the service of the Lord. And this will purify those senses. Sarva upadi vinirmuktam tatparat veina nirmalam. Yes, and there's the other verse, Atashti Krishna Namadi. So now, I want to just check really quick. Oh, Jiva Pavana Prabhu is posting so many nice things. Okay. During Prasadam, someone read from Prabhupada's books, and there was no nonsense. Sudevi, is it frozen in there? No. Okay, it's frozen here. Uh-oh. Okay. I can't tell if it's still going or not.
No, it's going.
Okay. So now I want to go a little bit beyond Vaikuntha with you. So, before entering into this very beautiful transcendental treasure, and really, especially all of these lecture books that we've received from Srila Gurudev are full of so much transcendental nectar. This is one of the commentaries on Brihad Bhagavatamrita of Sanatan Goswami by our Srila Gurudev, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. And he's revealing so many deep, transcendental, esoteric truths and moods, really all of the beautiful bhavs on the path of bhakti. So before entering into this transcendental treasure and relishing the beautiful gems that are present within, we will pray to Srila Gurudev, the commentator, and Sri Sanatan Goswami, the manifester of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. In the words of Raghunath Das Goswami, Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnair Apayanan Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Vidirya Paradukaduki Sanatana Spam Prabhum Ashrayami. Praying, begging in the dust of their lotus feet that may even a particle of their moods which are present within these pages manifest within our hearts. So yesterday our Srila Gurudev was speaking about specialities. The specialities of the depth of love and affection for Krishna, for Bhagavan. In Vaikuntha, they don't have all of the rasas that they have in Vrindavan. And with Narasimhadev Bhagavan, all of those rasas are also not expressed, and he also does not reciprocate like that. Sri Ram also does not reciprocate with Parakiya Bhav. You know Parakiya Bhav? Parakiya Bhav means paramour mood. It means unwedded love. Ram does not reciprocate with that because he is Maryada Purushottama. He is the Supreme Personality of following and teaching proper rules and regulations according to Shastra. So he accepted only one wife, that is Sita, Eka Patni Vrat. But for those who fell in love with him, who saw him and their hearts melted, and they wanted to serve him, like Sita ji, but they were not able to, then he told them that I will come as Krishna, and in the form of Krishna I will fulfill all of your desires. So Krishna is that special form who fulfills the desires of everyone. The devotees of other incarnations serve their Lord with humility and folded hands. But Krishna's devotees sometimes fight and quarrel with him and display man, jealous anger. Such a bhav is found in their service, and therefore they are greater. So what is great? And how is God defined? According to rasa vichar. If we want to be able to understand these variations in Bhagavat Tattva, then we can only understand according to rasa vichar, or the conception of rasa. It means the depth of relationship, the depth of love. And only in Vrindavan do you find that the love is so great of Krishna's eternal associates toward Krishna. The love of the Brajavasis is so great that Krishna is completely controlled, so much so that he forgets himself that he is God. His mother is able to bind him with the ropes of her love and affection. He carries the shoes of his father on his head. His friends slam him in the dust and jump on top of him. And he becomes completely submissive and subservient to the love of the gopis, especially Srimati Radhika, where he himself has written in Gita Govinda of Jayadev Goswami. When Jayadev Goswami wanted to write it, it came in his heart. He was like, no, how can I write that? Krishna is Bhagavan, Krishna is God. So he put his pen down. Jayadev Goswami went to take bath and do his daily sadhana, chanting his mantras. And at that time, his wife, Padmavati, she saw that he came back. He went, he wrote something in his book, and then he left again. And then she saw him come back again. So she asked her husband, Jayadev Goswami, what happened? Why did you come back, write something, and then leave again? And now you've come back. And he said, what are you talking about? I only went and I came back. She said, no, you came back and you left again. You wrote something in your book. He went to go see, and what had manifested in his heart that he himself could not write. That Krishna is begging for the foot dust of Srimati Radhika on his head. He realized that Krishna himself had taken the form of himself and gone and written that. So he wrote in Jayadev Goswami's book in Gita Govinda, Smaragarakandanam mamashirashi mandanam dehi padapallavumadaram. Krishna himself wrote this line, that I am completely smitten and I'm begging for your mercy. Please be merciful and give your lotus foot dust upon my head. Krishna is praying for this. So much love and affection that he completely forgets everything and becomes bewildered by Madan Mohan Mohini, Srimati Radhika. Now Srila Gurudev is quoting Brihad Bhagavatamrita 2.4, 200. Vadanti kechid bhagavan hi Krishna susachchidananda ganaika murti sayat param brahma paretu sarve tat parshada brahma maya vimukta. Some say that Krishna and his many incarnations are all one in tattva. Although there is some gradation and speciality in rasa and manifestation of potency. That is all right. Okay. I was just saying that. Because Brahma Samhita says, Deepakshadeva, who's speaking this Brahma Samhita? Lord Brahma. That like one candle lighting another, but still there's a speciality. There's the original candle, right? Ete chang sakala pungsa, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. There are so many incarnations, but Krishna himself is the supreme, or himself, the supreme Bhagavan. And also Brahma Samhita says, Krishna Swayam samabhavat paramapumanyo. Again it's saying Krishna Swayam. That all of the others are like phases, are like kala, some kind of manifestation of Krishna's moods and bhavs, but he himself is the supreme personality of Godhead. So it is told there in Brahma Samhita. So when Mahaprabhu defeated Vyankata Bhatta, Trimala Bhatta and Prabodhananda Saraswati in Srirangam, because they were having a debate, That time Gopal Bhatta Goswami was very small. They were having a debate. And they were providing all kinds of shastric and tattvic evidences. Tattva. But how did Mahaprabhu defeat them and convince them? But why is your Lakshmi Devi then doing austerities in Belban, Shrivan, to receive the mercy of Srimati Radhika so that she can enter into Krishna's Leelas in Vrindavan? Then it must be something more special. She's always able to be with Narayan or any other form, wherever he goes. But why is she doing austerity in Belvan? And this is proven in Srimad Bhagavatam by the words of the wives of Kaliya, the Naga Patnis. They're saying, Kasya Anubhava. They're saying that, how is it that our husband, Kaliya, although he was so sinful, and even against you, received the mercy of your footprints on his head, when Lakshmi Devi herself cannot attain that? They're saying that. She's still doing austerities. How is it possible? They were questioning. So when Mahaprabhu gave this as evidence, then they began to think, you're right, wait a second. And because of this, their deeper internal mood of being eternal servants of Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan were awakened. So their Ishtadev of that time was Lakshmi Narayan. But deeper than that, the internal, intrinsic nature of their heart, of their soul, was to serve Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. So that awakened by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And interestingly enough, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he made his Bhajan Kutir at Kaliya Hrad. If you come here to Vrindavan, where that tree is that Krishna jumped off of into Jamuna to defeat the Kaliya serpent, Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad, his Bhajan Kutir is right there, where that verse was spoken by the Nagapatnis, which proved that point. So Prabodhananda Saraswati has manifested some of the most rasik and bhavuk, transcendental literatures, like Vrindavana Mahimamrita, Radha Rasa Shuddha Nidhi. And actually Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur is non-different, is the manifestation of Tunga Vidya Sakhi in Krishna Lila. Thank you, Vidyasundar. Parakiya means not one's own. When Yashoda hears that her son is not hers, this increases her love for him, not only Madhurya. But generally we hear that Parakiya is used in terms of Madhurya Ras. Parakiya bhave jaha brajete prachar. Of course we understand that this mood, that he's not mine, then it increases it. So there's the more exact definition of Parakiya. I've heard that and read that before, so I appreciate that you've shared that. But generally when we hear this Parakiya bhav, then we understand it to mean that he belongs to another, or he's not exactly mine. It increases that longing. So in Madhurya Ras, we find that it hits its peak. And within Madhurya Ras, the peak of all other bhavs is also present. So the highest state of Parakiya bhav will be found within the hearts of the gopis. And thank you, Prabhu, for sharing that. So some say that Krishna and his many incarnations are all one in tattva, although there is some gradation and speciality in rasa and manifestation of potency. That is all right. In their associates, means Bhagavan's associates, there is the same uniqueness. But will we take it that some of these associates are inferior? Don't think in this way. Whether they are Nitya Siddha or Sadhan Siddha devotees, it says here that they are all fully, eternally liberated. So we have never heard of a situation where those who have taken birth from the wombs of gopis during Krishna's manifest pastimes in any earthly Braj Lila, Bhoma Vrindavan, when they entered into that Nitya Lila, we've never heard gopis looking going, oh my God, here comes a new Sadhan Siddha. No, they're accepted as one of them. And so they're not looking, viewing, oh, that's a Sadhan Siddha, this is Nitya Siddha. Otherwise it would disrupt the rasa, it would disrupt the bhav, it would become rasa bhas, it would become something which takes the sweetness away and makes it about a siddhantic or jnanic thing. For us here, we can deliberate on these things, but those personalities don't think about all of those things. They're only thinking about love for Krishna. Some say that Krishna is Parabrahma, the supreme spiritual entity, and that all of his eternal associates are Brahma, spirit. So that he is Parabrahma, the supreme Brahma, Brahm, and others are Brahm. In some places it has been stated like this, and this is also not incorrect. So it's not incorrect to say that he's Parabrahma, Parabrahm, and others are Brahm. Like in Shastra, in the Vedanta, there's an aphorism that says, Aham Brahmasmi. It has been misused by so many to mean that I am Parabrahm. But Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that all of the jivas are my eternally fragmented parts and parcels. And he also says that I am the source of the Brahma Jyoti, Brahmanohi Pratishta Aham. Most Brahmavadis, they think, I'm going to say Brahmavadi, Mayavadis also, think that the form of Bhagavan, this is Mayavad, the form of Bhagavan is a product of Maya. Any idea of, that means illusion, any idea of duality is a product of Maya. There's only one thing, and that is Brahm. Therefore, their conception is also a product of Maya. So therefore, they have no need to say anything. But we don't accept that. We accept that there is Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan. There is the conception of Brahm, means the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Then Paramatma, the localized feature of the Absolute, who is present everywhere, in everything, outside of everything, within every atom, within everyone's heart. And Bhagavan, the supreme or last word in transcendence, the supreme personality of Godhead in all of his personal features, especially that supreme topmost, that is Krishna. So what is Brahmananda? The inherent blissfulness or ananda of the living entity is called Brahmananda. The inherent blissfulness. Now Gurudev is using this word inherent. Some people have the idea that ananda is not present at all in the soul, and neither is chit, that it is just sat, existence, basically a blob of existence that Chit and Ananda are superimposed onto. But it is not like that. It has inherently within it its eternal relationship with its eternal Lord, Ishtadev. And also love, bliss, happiness. Otherwise we would not experience even a semblance of that, even in its perverted form within this material world. It would be impossible. So it's there, it's only being, misappropriated, misused, or pervertedly reflected in this material world by the association of the pure devotees, by the mercy of Radha and Krishna, Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma, by the presence of the pure devotee, by their association, that transcendental awakening takes place. Ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So by their association, that transcendental relationship, divyam jnanam, the knowledge of our relationship with Krishna is awakened. And also the nature of that service, that love, that affection, that bliss, that happiness is also awakened by that. Existence, potency is always present. So it's not that there is not chit, means relationship or bhav, or ananda present in its seed form within us, but it needs to be awakened by something like itself. And that is the presence and the mercy of the pure devotee. So that inherent blissfulness or ananda of the living entity is called Brahmananda. The jiva has been called Brahm, but the jiva has not been referred to as Parabrahm. Parabrahma is Krishna. Arjuna says, Parabrahma Paramdhama Pavitra Paramam Bhavam Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibho. And he keeps going. So many places in Shastra refer to Bhagavan or Krishna as Parabrahma or the Supreme Brahma. So already there's some differentiation. The fact that we can even have a thought is proof that there's more than just singularity. Within the Supreme, you can call it, oneness, there's infinite variety. As our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj states in his Vinod Bihari Tattvashtakam. In Shastra, two ideas are given. Nirgunam. The Supreme Absolute Truth is Nirgun, without any qualities. It says Nirgun. But then in so many other places, it says Sagunam. It means full of all qualities. So how do we reconcile? Bhagavan is Nirgun and Sagun. Nirgun means without any mundane qualities and not controlled by Maya. He is the controller of Maya. And Saguna means full of all transcendental qualities. 64, specifically, but unlimited transcendental qualities. So Sagunam Nirgunam Tattvam. This is what our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj writes. Sagunam Nirgunam Tattvam. Both are there present simultaneously. We do not consider that Brahm and Parabrahm are one and put them in the same class. Just like Krishna said, I am the source of all of these jivas. They are my parts and parcels. Mama eva angsha. Mama eva angsha means mama eva angsha. My own parts. Angsha. All the jivas are my infinitesimal parts and parcels. That's why we are called Vibhina Angsha. Infinitesimal. So small. And he's known as Vibhu. Unlimited. So we're always dependent, always. This is our nature. We are always dependent on the Supreme. There's never any real independence. The idea of truly being independent from God is illusion. There is nothing, not one thing that happens in all of creation that is without the knowledge of or the sanction of Bhagavan, of God. Not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. So, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also that those who think that my form, that my appearance in this world is a product of the material energy or Maya, they are fools. Avajananti ma muddha manushim tanamashritam param bhavam jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. They don't understand that I am the source of everything. I am the supreme controller, Maha Ishvara. I am the source. All of this is happening by my energy. So, he's saying, Avajananti mam. Those who see that my birth, my activities in this material world are a product of Maya, they are mudha, foolish. Manushim tanam ashritam. When I take my human-like form, they do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. And then in another verse he says, those who do understand that my birth and my activities, my nature, are all transcendental, they never have to take birth again in this material world. Janma karma chame divyam. Who understand that it is transcendental, they never have to take birth again in this material world. So some may try to convince you one way or another that it is all just one. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, close your ears, don't hear that talk. It is devastating for one's progress on the path of devotion. Mayavara bhasa shunele hoi sarvanash. Stay away from it. And our Gurudev also begged that we should stay away from that. Don't have those conversations. They end up looping. I don't know if you've ever had that conversation. It ends up going in a circle. And it just keeps circling. And it can drive you mad, actually. So the jiva has not been referred to as Parabrahma. Parabrahma is Krishna. We don't consider that Brahm and Parabrahm are one and put them in the same class. We consider the jiva to be the servant. Dasosmi, dasosmi, I am your servant. Whenever Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would see any of his disciples, except for one, our Param Gurudev, but others, they would offer their pranam to him and he would fold his hands, bow his head and say, Dasosmi, I am your servant. For our Param Gurudev, he would always call him Tui. It's a very affectionate nickname. But really, our mood should be that I am the servant. Gopi Bhattu Padakamalayur Das Das Anudas. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the last servant of the devotees of Krishna. This is the mood of the devotee. And all the jivas, they also have this nature. Jivera Swarupahoy Krishner Nityadas. The inherent nature of all jivas is that they are the eternal servants of Krishna. Krishner Nityadas. The eternal servants of Krishna. The scriptures say, Brahma evam bhavati. One certainly becomes Brahma. Brahma. In the Gita there is Vishate tad anantaram. One then enters into that. And there are also similar verses in Bhagavatam. In Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came to have hatred for the theory of monism or Brahmavad. But not all liberation is worthy of hatred. So, generally, this kind of liberation is aiming to become one with Brahm. One with Brahm. That I am God. Or one with Ishwar. Two main kinds of Sayujya Mukti. Brahma Sayujya, merging into the effulgence, the Brahm of Bhagavan. But they don't consider it the effulgence of Bhagavan. They consider it God. Some people call it the divine energy, nirvana, the white light, what have you. And then there's Ishvara Sayujya, who's behind the white light. That's the personality of Godhead. And some want to merge into and become that, the supreme personality of Godhead. And enjoy what he has. Enjoy as him. This is their desire. So here Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya came to have hatred for the theory of monism, or this singularity, oneness. But not all liberation is worthy of hatred. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaja explained that actually the idea of Brahmananda is illusion. Because if you become something, then what are you going to taste? If your tongue was made of sugar, and I give you sugar to eat, what would you taste? Nothing. So if you become one with it, and don't have any separate identity from it, if you do not, in essence, have a taste bud which is separate from sugar, then you won't be able to taste sugar. So what kind of bliss will you experience if you don't feel a sense of individuality? So he explained that this feeling, or this idea of the bliss of merging into Brahm, if you are merged, then what are you going to experience? So, even Krishna manifests Srimati Radhika from his own form. Why? Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Ladini Shaktirasmad. To experience that exchange of transcendental divine love and affection. Two transcendental personalities. All the gopis, all the Brajabasis, all of the eternal associates of the Lord, all jivas. He has manifested all of them. For what purpose? To experience that exchange, love and affection. He can do it inside himself. Why not? Atmaram Aptakam. Self-satisfied, doesn't need anything outside of himself. And really, he is, in one sense, singular. But yet, he infinitely manifests himself. Why? Because it gives him pleasure to have Radha. From his own form she manifests, and she runs toward him with anurag, with a deep, intense desire to serve him, to please him. That's her nature. So let me just finish this paragraph. Mukti can also mean attaining service at the feet of Bhagavan. So Mahaprabhu explained this to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Because generally mukti means liberation, but Mahaprabhu gave this term liberation the highest connotation. He gave it a different definition, that really liberation is not just freedom from suffering. Liberation, real liberation, or the highest meaning of liberation, is awakening one's intrinsic eternal nature of loving service to their Ishtadev. This is real liberation. It's not just coming from the mundane into the marginal, but it's actually going into the extent of our transcendental. That is the fullest meaning of liberation. Jiveteyo mukti pade sadaya bhak. That's the verse that they were speaking about. So mukti can also mean attaining service at the feet of Bhagavan, but Sarvabhauma despised the word mukti, and he also despised referring to the jiva as Brahm. So now, we are going to continue tomorrow from this point, because now it's going into Gop Kumar. So hearing this line of thought, Gop Kumar asked Narada Muni a question. So we will continue with that tomorrow. Very interesting, very deep subject matter. Our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj has given a book. At the time it was entitled Mayavad Ki Jivani, means victory over Mayavadism. It has been translated into English, and I think the title is Beyond Nirvana. So we're going beyond Vaikuntha, but that book is called Beyond Nirvana, and it exposes all of the flaws in that conception. Srila Prabhupada, all of our Guru Varga must be well versed in all different subjects of thought, so that they can help us to understand what is a pitfall and what is favorable. So what is unfavorable and what is favorable. So our Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj was very expert in smashing the Mayavad conceptions, as were most of the disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, that we have also seen in Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's books. He preached so much against Nirvishesha and Shunyavad. Nirvishesha is impersonalism, Nirvishesh, without form, and Shunyavad means nothingness, voidism. So even in his own pranam mantra which he made, there it says Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Desha Tarine. So he's preaching the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all of the countries of this world. We are so indebted to all of them for making such a strong endeavor to open our eyes to the truth about the illusions of this material world and the real truth, which is Krishna, love and affection for Krishna, and how to become Krishna conscious. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupana Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Jai Jai Shri Radhe, Shyam Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol.
So thank you all very much for being with us today
Thank you.
and for giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, and also for engaging us in our Guru Seva, for which we are very indebted. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow. So, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Jiva Bhavana Prabhu, thank you for all the added inspiration
Yes,
today from the
thank you.
beginning. Was amazing.
Radhe
Radhe,
Radhe
Radhe.
Radha Vihari Juti Jai
Jai.
Sachidananda Gaura Hari
Ki Jai.